Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Split Screen podcast, shockingly recorded in the same month. Not only that, it's in the same year. I probably should have done that in the other way, but it's for dramatic effect.
Wow, it's May
I'm so
2025.
shocked.
How's that virus going? Yeah, the 20th wave was the deadliest.
Oh man.
You're crashing or the computer's crashing? Oh yeah, you're actually starting to stutter. Oh my god. The Skype's starting to break up. Craig. Craig!
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Split Screen podcast. This episode we will talk somewhat about YouTube and then go through the tragedies of the world in order from most bleak to most depressing, following the spirit set by the last podcast.
We've gone full Game of Thrones.
Which tragedies do you want to talk about, Alan? Which genocides and atrocities shall we cover this time?
I don't know. I think covering our YouTube history will probably be enough atrocities for one podcast.
Quite possibly so. First, though, I wanted
Wait,
to.
this is. Oh, but before you get into your follow up, this is take 3 of this podcast.
This is.
We're crossing our fingers here. We're recording on a very old laptop, which has seen Craig through pretty much the entirety of Split Screen and all of 5 out of 10.
This laptop has a Windows Vista sticker on it. Okay,
Oh no!
it's a Windows Vista sticker, and it's gone through Windows 7, Windows 8, and now it's on Windows 10. It's lurching onward, just like our society. And
Are you gonna do this for every sentence? You need to add this to your note. You're not allowed to say You're not allowed to mention the downfall of society after every sentence. This is pretty stock standard podcast stuff. Let's talk about Windows Vista then.
Okay.
So I was at the in-laws a couple of weeks ago, and my father-in-law had found this old laptop, and he was, I'm using it for old video game stuff, and it was running Windows Vista.
Wow.
And he was adamant that it was not connected to the internet. And after some investigation, I found it was. I downloaded an antivirus software. It was Avast, and it told me to immediately disconnect the computer from the internet because it couldn't be patched. So that Windows Vista now warns you not to use it whenever you download antivirus. So that's the ignominious fall. And it still doesn't play Age of Empires, but you having to set it in compatibility mode. Truly the worst of all possible worlds.
God, if it's warning you about using it, that brings like a new context to the little "Are you sure?" dialogue box that pops up. It's like switch on your PC. Oh, hang on. Are you sure you want to be doing that?
And that user account control, which you don't really pay a moment's hesitation to, and Windows 10 is incredibly aggressive in Vista. And because the operating system is so slow as well, what happens is the whole thing slows up and brigs up, and then you get this frosted glass. Are you sure you want to do this with a Windows Shield? And then you click on it, yeah, fucking let me do what I want to do. And then eventually, after about 20 seconds, it stutters back to life.
Yeah.
And I think it also came from a time when computers weren't very good. It was pre-SSD, the computers didn't have much RAM, and they tended to be running really early generation Intel cores or late gen Pentium 4s. So all the computers ran really hot and slow anyway. Mm-hmm. And so it was just the worst of all possible scenarios. So you've got these really thick, hot laptops running a dog shit operating system. I feel I will be eternally regretful that I installed Windows Vista on my MacBook Pro.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so good when I finally took Windows off. That was when we moved here, and we moved to Australia, and I got a gaming PC. I finally took Windows off my Mac.
Yeah, I always enjoyed the constant fight with Windows on who exactly is in charge. So I would like to delete this folder. Whoa! That folder's being used. The folder's not being used. The folder's actually empty. I would like to delete it. No, I can't do that for you. Okay, well, I tell you what, I want to run this thing in a compatibility mode because Windows Vista doesn't run anything. Okay, could you go get the administrator for me? Oh, I am the administrator, actually. I bought you and I own you. This is my Black Mirror episode. It's just me shouting at the computer, being like, I own you. Please work.
This is just the computer asking to speak to your manager?
Yes.
Then you go into the back and say, Manager says no.
Yeah, no, I come back and I right click with a fake mustache on it, like, I am the administrator. Please delete the folder. And then it does, and it's great. I would like to do a quick follow up on last episode, which I thought was really interesting and really fun, really upbeat. You mentioned at one
And
point.
if you're still listening, presumably you also thought it was good too. So appreciate the feedback.
So you mentioned at one point Super Mario Odyssey,
Yep.
and how if you were to sit down and write about it, you wouldn't necessarily know what to say, or certainly you wouldn't go through the by the numbers style kind of breakdown, traditional review of it. And that got me thinking because I'm still playing Odyssey. It's a game that it's quite good for just kind of like the Switch is for so many games. Open it up and just play for 5-10 minutes, because it's also a small little moments in it. And I was thinking a bit more about it because I've enjoyed playing Odyssey, but there's something that's always felt a bit off to me about it. Um, One aspect was it's just how it's a good thing and it's a bad thing how much it revels in its own nostalgia
Hmm.
for previous Mario games. You've obviously got some of the mechanics like you can go into the walls and then you're playing like a little 2D traditional Mario.
And there's an
Um,
extended Donkey Kong sequence, which is really
yeah,
good, but it's
it's
definitely very nostalgic. Yeah.
everything is well done. Right, all that whole New Donk City and the festival part is a great moment in the game.
Have you completed it?
I've beat Bowser and I've got to Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, so I was
I'm
going to
about
say that's
600. I'm about so
uh,
this is part of it, right? Because like on when you get to Mushroom Kingdom, that's when it really opens up even more with like the nostalgia heaviness because it's kind of got full on Mario 64 bits of levels in it,
yeah,
which
and you can even get a Mario 64 costume to make yourself look like 64-bit Mario.
yeah puts you in the whole low polygon
Yeah,
outfit. Now, I was thinking about it. When you look at the kind of the journey of those big 3D Mario games, Mario 64 is still kind of the high watermark to me that all the others are still trying to surpass. But it's this like whole consistent thing, right? Obviously, first game that well, or historically gets looked at as the first game that got 3D cameras right and 3D movement right for platformers and things like that. Great game, love it, love watching speedruns of it. Then they did Super Mario Sunshine, which is like, okay, it's basically Mario 64, but with like a gimmick strapped on his back with the water jets. So you
yeah,
get more movements. But I really like Sunshine in terms of its like imagery. Like it's all based on the one island of Delfino. You're not
yeah.
going to Lava World or Ice World or
Well,
whatever.
you do go to Lava World at the end of the game, and yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
but by and
yeah,
large,
I hear what
you're
you
in the
mean. It's
one.
all tropical themed. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one kind of place, and the music.
Oh, you're kidding! I can need to restart your computer.
Before we get into talking about YouTube, Alan, I'd like to quickly pick up on something we talked about last time, which is Super Mario Odyssey.
Hmm.
You had mentioned in terms of writing about it, you wouldn't want to go through the usual by the numbers approach, and you wouldn't know necessarily what to say. And I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah,
I
yeah.
also don't know what I would say. And I'm still playing it. I've been playing it for like over the course of a year or so. It's a nice wee game you can pick up and just chip away at, get another moon. There's like 999 moons in it.
Something preposterous. Yeah.
And you don't need to do that much, to be honest, to get one. And I've kind of realized there was always something that sat a little bit. I've enjoyed Odyssey, but there's always something that was a bit unsatisfying about the premise of it.
But
And
the premise of it, rather than the actual
I think that's
moment
where
to
I'm
moment
landing
gameplay.
on. I think that's where I'm landing on now. It's something about the kind of premise. Everything in it is executed fantastic, but there's a if I was writing a review, my first line would be something like Super Mario Odyssey is a mosaic. It is the usual when you stand back from afar, it's the usual jolly Mario experience. It has delightful little moments of gameplay. It introduces nice little interesting mechanics that are explored in different ways. It's got it's got your Toads, it's got your Peaches, it's got your Bowsers, it's got all your stuff from the limited shallow world of the Mushroom Kingdom.
It's got the coins that you don't really need except to buy more hats, which is more Team Fortress than Mario, isn't it?
Yeah, but at least you've got a reason to spend the coins now, right? Because what were the coins in all the previous games?
They give you life.
They gave you life, they gave you purpose, capitalism. Now, if you look at like a mosaic, though, when you go into it, the game is actually just made up of all these tiny, tiny little tiles, all these 999 moons.
Yep, and as you say, like some of them are little 5 second interstitial chunks. They're not. Some of them are not substantial. Sometimes you get multi moons, which are more substantial challenges, but really it's about nibbling away at little bits, right?
Yeah, and at the sometimes that is just there's a glowing spot on the ground over there, so you go and do a ground pound, and a moon shoots out. Now, having played it for over the course of the year, you then realize that actually there's a glowing spot in every single level. And then you can also like chase a rabbit and get a moon, and then you're like, oh, that's also in every single level pretty much.
Yeah.
And so actually, there's a lot of kind of copy paste. There's quite a lot of filler in the game. Now, it's not to say that again, it's all executed really well. I enjoyed it all. I enjoyed chasing the rabbit every time I chased the rabbit, but it doesn't feel like it's got the same strong sense of identity that Super Mario 64 did, or that Mario Sunshine did. Mario 64, first 3D platformer, set the bar, set the standard. Sunshine
As
set
a
on
as a
the.
Sonic as a Sonic fan, I begrudgingly accept that Super Mario 64 is a masterpiece. Yes,
You can enjoy both.
but Mario 64, yeah, you can. But if you play Sonic Adventure today, you'll have a very different experience to Mario 64. I mean, the thing about Mario 64 is you've got 120 stars, but you've got a clear 7 per level plus the 100 coin thing. They're quite distinct. They
Yeah.
do have little hidden ones that are quite similar to the Odyssey stars, but they're few and far between.
Yes.
But yeah, I would agree with you. The 7 challenges, from my recollection, are pretty distinct apart from maybe collect the blue coins. Or is that, am I confusing that with Sunshine?
No, I think
They both
I
have
think
that?
you're right. Yeah,
Both
you,
have
you
that?
had your 8 red coins and your 100 coins was common
Yeah,
in all of
yeah.
them. And then your 3 Bowser fights, or there's like a boss fight of some kind. But most of the boss fights, again, there's enough variation to them. And again, in Odyssey, all your boss fights or have got the variety in them. There's all still hit them 3 times in the glowing weak spot, but you have to do
Yeah.
that in slightly different ways.
It's probably more variety than any Mario game ever. Like the new Super Mario Brothers games have particularly crap bosses. We have to like you jump on the Triceratops 4 times. What the
Yeah,
fuck? Why? Why is that a boss?
where 64 had like those 7 stars or whatever per level, Sunshine had like a nice strong visual identity. Isle of Delfino, tropical rays, lovely music. That's all good. Here's your jetpack. Have a squirt. Galaxy is probably an interesting point in the evolution where it's got its identity of space and it did the lovely kind of little globes like back to kind of that's really where it introduced this idea of focusing down on one mechanic and kind of getting rid of
Yeah.
everything else.
Well, that's a problem with that's a problem with Sunshine is it's fucking boring. And it
Yeah,
has the same 7 shines per level structure and has some cool things like you can get the sunglasses because the more shines you get, the brighter the sun gets. So after a while, Mario needs shades because it's too hot. But it's just a really meandering game, and it takes you, especially like that first level, like I don't know, it's the Pianta Village one with the windmills. That takes a
yeah,
long time to walk through that every time to get to the next objective. And people always say, but it's true that Sunshine's at its best when they ditch the jetpack and it gets into the hardcore platforming bits, and it's totally abstract, and they don't really care about any semblance of structure. And then they took
yeah.
that game and they called it Super Mario Galaxy and extended it into a 20-hour romp.
Exactly, and that's this point in the evolution where it took this turn towards distilling things down, and I think that's now a box that they are struggling to escape from in Odyssey.
Yeah. That's what they've always done. They've always done that. I think not so much in the earlier console Mario's. Like my knowledge of them's pretty limited, but Super Mario Brothers was prototypical, right?
Mhm.
3 has much broader ideas, and so does Mario World. But with the new Super Mario Brothers games, particularly what was it, the one for the Wii U, the one I just called more Super Mario Brothers.
Super
It's
Mario
very
World?
much no, it's called New Super Mario Brothers U,
Oh
even though
yes,
it's
yes, yes, yes.
also called that on the Switch. It is very much here's this level, here's this idea, and away we go. Here's these guys that barf spike balls. Here's some seesaws in this level, and this also happens. It's particularly prevalent in New Super Mario Brothers U and 2 and stuff. It's also very prevalent in games like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which is actually a very good game. It's also just a little bit too tough. Those games say, here is the one mechanic for the stage, and away we go. And Mario Galaxy does that a lot too. Like it's been a long time since I played it, but you've got, here's the ice planet, here's the swimming planet, here's the planet with the cannons, which I think is quite an early one, which is good because you only get like maybe 3 stars per galaxy, I think, in Mario Galaxy, if I remember correctly. So it keeps you on the move. It keeps you doing little hidden things. They do some repetitive challenges, like the race to Shadow Mario challenges, the bullshit hard ones when the comet turns up. I don't remember doing a lot of those, but I remember they exist. And I think Mario Galaxy 2, which I have not played but do have on disc, is pretty much more of the same. Or it's Mario Galaxy's formula taken to the logical extreme.
Yeah, and I think I've heard that as well. And your point about how it keeps you on the move, it reminds me of the Ramones. When they first played, apparently they wouldn't stop between songs. One, because they didn't want to give anyone a chance to boo. But it added to this experience because you're moving along so quickly and all the songs kind of are the same, like on purpose, like by design. It actually, you kind of just get swept away with it. And Mario Odyssey for me feels a little bit like that. Each of the moments are very, very good. But there's just so many of them. I think it's taking me a while to kind of stand back from that mosaic and go, or get close to the tiles. I don't know. The metaphor was there just to start the discussion. It's taken me a while to kind of realize it's actually quite a shallow game. It's just incredibly broad and it's got a lot of width to it.
Look, it's almost like it's all frosting and no cake. So my Mario Odyssey experience was very different to yours because I mainlined it over a 20-hour plane trip back to the UK, and I was waking up at 4 in the morning because of jet lag, and all I did was sit and play Mario Odyssey. And I can remember bits and bobs. I remember the Funky Garden level where you can turn into an onion. It's got the awesome surf rock soundtrack. That's the best level. You've got the Shogun Samurai Castle level where you can turn into the birds.
Yep,
the bird with the wall.
Yep, the lovely satisfying little flick that you can do to kind of move around.
So I remember the cake world, because there's always a cake world in a modern Mario game. There loads of lava and you can turn into the fireballs and stuff. And obviously, I remember the final bit, the trip to the moon. That's amazing.
Yeah. And in amongst that, there's kind of 3 different forests for some reason.
Yeah, I would say I think the biggest problem is there's not a lot of challenge to Odyssey. And Mario 64, and I think particularly Sunshine, are quite hard games. And I remember Galaxy not being a pushover either. But I think Mario Odyssey is, I think it's very much a Switch game, and it's designed to dip in and dip out. So it's actually even more of a mobile game than something like Super Mario 3D Land, which, it's a mobile game, but it's still got traditional courses.
That's a good point.
But Mario Odyssey is bite-sized, and I think you see a similar pattern of design in Breath of the Wild. But the difference with Breath of the Wild is you've got these 120 shrines. For some reason, I don't know, is 120 a lucky number in Japan? But it is the shrines and their bite-sized challenges, and you can go in, you could boot up Breath of the Wild, play it for a couple of minutes, and do a shrine or two. But the difference with Breath of the Wild is it's set in one massive, consistent overworld.
Yeah.
And there's overarching quests, and that's what Odyssey doesn't have. It's got lots of little bite-size, as you say, Mario Galaxy style chunks that you hop between in a blimp. There is zero continuity, right? And the only reason you're getting you collect the bits and you move on to the next level. Yeah. And as you said, hands them out so readily that often there's not a lot of reward associated just because your asshole touched the right bush at one point in time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about like the portable nature of it and how that's probably fed the design. Yeah, Breath of the Wild is like a journey. It's like this consistent journey that you're on as you're exploring the world. I remember before I played it, you'd send me a text being like, savor the first time through it because you don't get that. You don't get that back.
But what's interesting is I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. And I swear to God, one day, I've nearly finished my touch typing course, so I might as well start using the skills and start writing things in the morning because I've got all this free time from the quarantine. But Breath of the Wild I played on the Wii U when I moved to Australia, and I didn't really have any other games or consoles to speak of. So I played nothing but that for 80 hours, and I relished it. But I have never been to the northwest corner of that game. I've never been to the Snow Mountains bit. Someday I'm going to really relish picking up the Switch and playing it again, and this time I will go a different direction and have a different adventure. Since I have completed Mario Odyssey, I did the darker side of the moon, the really hard challenge, and I got about 95% of the way through it, and then fucking died and had to go back to the start, and I lost my appetite for it. Since I've completed it, I haven't had much of a draw to go back and collect the remaining moons. And that's the
Yeah,
difference, I think, is at the end of Breath of the Wild, I thought, oh, one day I'm going to go back and I'm going to get all those shrines. And I didn't feel that way with Mario Odyssey. I feel like, yes, that was very nice, but that's as far as it goes. And
yeah,
I think it's a really great game. It's a really fine game, but I know what you mean. There's something insubstantial about it.
yeah. It's incredibly well executed as Nintendo always is with the big Mario games. But just in terms of putting it against the lineup of the others, it it just doesn't compare. It doesn't. I don't think it's going to age particularly well in the same way. I think it'll be talked about like it was there, but it probably won't be one that will will
That's
will
a. So what do you think
will
about?
influence the others.
So what do you think about? So Mario 64, we probably agree is it's a stone cold masterpiece,
Hmm.
and anybody who doesn't like that's an ignorant fool. Then you've got. What do you think of Sunshine in terms of the pantheon of history? Because I think it is. I think it was overrated when it came out. A fairly dull game. I don't really want to revisit, but if it comes out on the Switch, I probably will.
Yeah, I think it's one when it comes to the remaster. That's the one I'm most looking forward to. If it is being remastered, as it probably is. That's the one I'd look forward to playing to try and understand. Because I think for me, I've got it stands more in like a bit of a cult fan favorite.
Yeah,
Like I
it's.
think the
I
people
just
who
find
like
it.
it really like it.
I find it really ponderous, which is interesting because I really love Wind Waker, which is a very ponderous kind of Zelda game. You float about the sea the whole time.
Yeah.
I find Wind Waker a very gentle and relaxing game, and people usually complain because the dungeons suck in the Wind Waker compared to something like, I don't know, Twilight Princess. But I find it really relaxing, just a nice game, the nicest of the Zeldas.
Yeah.
And Mario Sunshine, I don't know. I feel like it becomes a bit of a chore. There's some really bad bits involving roller coasters and a robotic Bowser that I'm not looking forward to playing again. And I remember like silly Yoshi fruit collection and I just remember a tedium to it.
Mhm.
And I know I've got all the way to the lava bit at the end with the boats, but I was like, nah, I've played enough of this. Which is
Yeah.
what I tend to do with games. I'll play them until 5 minutes before the end and give up.
So that
But it's a cult one, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of there, and I think Galaxy, like I say, it's made the change. It's important in terms of the design for what Mario's are, and I would love for them to escape or go in a different direction from the one that Galaxy set them on in terms of this hyper focused. Here's the mechanic, and we kind of put everything else to the side.
I think Galaxy is probably still very good. I think I'd have a great time if I played that again. And I think whenever I play Galaxy 2, who knows when that is, that I will also enjoy that because it's got Yoshi in it, and who doesn't like Yoshi? And boo Mario. But so where would you like them to take it? What would you like the next 3D Mario to do? Because it's all well and good for us to shit on Nintendo, but you don't want them to do Mario 64 again, do you?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Because Mario, I get maybe it's the same as how Half-Life treat. Maybe maybe Nintendo use Mario the same way that Valve used Half-Life or view Half-Life. If you've read any of their interviews about Alex, they kind of talk about how they have reserved Half-Life for solving interesting problems. Now, I don't think Nintendo do exactly that. I think Nintendo use Mario to prove their console. And so I think
showcase technology.
so in Odyssey had the motion controls at the heart of it, and or in a lot of sections of it. And we talked about there, like many of the animals or things that you turn into in Odyssey use the kind of little Joy-Con switches in quite nice
Yeah, and I
tactile,
don't think
pleasing ways.
and it's not really a game you can play with a pro controller. Like obviously you can do it, but the flickability, you really need the Joy Cons in your hand. Yeah,
So I think it's going to be tied very closely to what they do in terms of their next console. I do think the Switch is almost a perfect design of a console, though, in
I
terms of
suspect they will just do Switches forever
so.
now, and I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah, so we're probably going to get a Switch U type of
Switch Pro,
yeah
Pro,
type of model.
because nobody wants a fucking amateur Switch, do they?
No. So yeah, so I'm not sure. I mean, it's also tied so closely to the challenge of, well, what's a platformer even mean in 2020? It seems to be one of those genres that doesn't, it definitely had its time, and I think you need to bring either an interesting gimmick to it, or I don't know. I don't know if you could just do a
Um,
pure platformer anymore because it's just been so done. It'd be like writing a really good blues song.
but there's loads of good pure platformers. You've got Sonic Mania, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. You get Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. You've got Yooka-Laylee in 3D,
Hmm.
which I don't think is that good, but it's a thing. There's a Hat in Time, which is on my
Oh,
Steam
there's no
wish list.
shortage.
It's meant to
There's
be
no
very good.
shortage of them, but if you're saying like what would I want to see Nintendo do with it? It's I guess it has to be something new. And Mario Odyssey is so nostalgic and revels in the nostalgia of Mario, and particularly Mario 64 with the low poly version that you can costume you can get and going to the Mushroom Kingdom and stuff. I'll finish this because this is just going to be a short intro, and I'll finish this by saying
And in classic split screen style, here
we've
we
ran
are,
we've ran for
20 minutes later.
eight
Yeah.
hours. Um, I'm at the point where I've got about 630 moons out of the 999. So there's plenty more to get. I've done Beat Bowser, I've done the dark side of the moon, and I'm at the darker side of the moon in terms of the worlds.
Yeah.
Um, Now I remember Chrissy Teigen has got all of the moons. She got really into Mario Odyssey at some point. And
Who's Chrissy Teigen?
Chrissy Teigen is she's I only know her from that lip sync battle show. And I'm
Not
sure she does
helping
other
me.
things. I don't know what it is. It's going to sound really terrible, but to describe her as she is also married to John Legend. I don't. She's a celebrity
Right.
of some kind. She does stuff. I don't know what she does. I don't know if she's an actor or a singer or whatever. The reason I mention it is because I remember seeing her Twitter talking through how she got those final few moons, and it was like, crushing the Joy Cons in the hands because it was whatever the last most frustrating ones to get. And this is just another time in my life where I have to say I am no Chrissy Teigen, and I am not going to get those 999. That would have been a funnier joke actually if you knew who Chrissy Teigen was, but we'll leave it there. I'm not blaming
I
you.
have.
This is why I don't do stand up, is because I just aggressively blame the one audience member. Sorry, man.
That's all
Shall we
right.
talk? Shall we talk about YouTube?
Sure, sure. So we had originally intended to do one podcast with two topics, then we ended up having this existential crisis on the air. But the second topic was about YouTube, and you've been doing a lot of YouTube videos lately.
Yeah, yeah. Over the past year and a bit, I have probably made I've probably done as many videos in the last year and a half than I had in the previous 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, however long we've been doing it. And I got really focused in on it. Like I actually went off and was like reading subreddits about what is good YouTube making etiquette and practices. What is the YouTube algorithm? How does one optimize your videos for it? And so it was like it all kind of came from I'd finally figured out that the capture card I had in my PC, I had set it up incorrectly. So I was never really satisfied with the quality of the video I was getting. And then I changed the switch and went, oh God, it's so much better. Okay. I should probably use this.
Oh, this. What does that say? Shite. I'll flip the switch to good.
Yes. It's kind of like if you look around and you see like a musical instrument, you're like, I should probably play that more. So I kind of was like wanting to
This
use it a
guitar
bit more.
sounds like crap. Oh, what are these wee little twisty bits at the top? Oh man, this sounds incredible.
So yeah, and I was like, okay, I want to do some let's plays and stuff. I enjoyed doing the Blade Runner let's play years and years and years ago,
Hmm.
and so I did that. But I started making videos again, and I was getting fixated on it. And in terms of like introducing this, I have a constant problem of taking a hobby and absolutely killing it by becoming focused on metrics. Now, a bit of that is because it's part of my job as a project manager. I do a lot of performance measurement, and it was also like I had a bit of a sciencey background for a while, and that's
Yep.
also quite you look for ways of measuring the effectiveness of a system. But it is also when you make something, you want someone to fucking see it. Now you can make things and not be worried about uh, or in terms of the path. I've written about all this before, right? The reason why I'm not going to sum up, I've written about all this before in in 5 out of 10. This was the article that
Mm-hmm.
I did back in issue 3, which was in 2000 and so yeah, back in 2013, issue 3,
Wow, yeah.
Reflecting Reality. I wrote an article called All the Mistakes I've Made. A player who has explored games through infographics and illustrations explores the diminishing appeal of these features through infographics and illustrations. It's a very,
Very Craig piece.
very Craig piece. It's very, I'm nothing if not on brand.
So what you're saying is you should have been looking up, and instead you were looking up,
Yes.
and you have you've metric the shit out of everything because we've talked about piles of shame before, and I've just got a big ass list in a to do app, and you've excelled literally and figuratively by plotting everything into a graph, and there's bar charts and shit of your
Yep,
how many games you've completed per year.
Yep, I
But
took
you
all
had to
the
type all that in. You took all of that stuff. You had
yeah.
to go in. You must have to go and research that and get all the data, right?
Yeah, I got every game that I owned that's in a backlog, and I ranked them by which ones I was interested or not. And then for the ones I was interested in, I tried to figure out how much I'd played of it. And then using, there's like various websites that will tell you how long a game is. I could then say how much time was
Yeah.
remaining. And
Mm-hmm.
what did I do with that? Fuck all. I didn't play any of those games. I didn't finish any of those games. But it
It
was
was
one
a
of these,
very nice spreadsheet.
it
It
was
was
very
beautiful,
nicely
beautiful
formatted spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
And that, I can enjoy making spreadsheets as well, but that's kind of not the point of it. So in December of 2019, I wrote a piece on split screen called And Yet More Mistakes I Make, which is a sequel. So in the 5 out of 10 piece, I was kind of talking about how I'd made a bunch of infographics that got popular. Or I'd made one that got really popular, and I was forever trying to chase down and make another one.
Did that go
Um,
on? Was that the one that went on Kotaku and went viral
yes.
back when they took other people's content and wrapped advertising around it, and we were grateful for this
Yes.
because it
And
indicated success, presumably.
yep, and I'm pretty sure it got like 200,000 views on Kotaku. They had like some indicator, and it was loads. It was fucking loads of views. And so I thought I was onto a winner, and I kept trying to do it, and it made things that I enjoyed and things that are really I still think are quite good, but nothing ever hit that peak. And
Hmm.
I found myself in the same mindset with these goddamn videos that I was making. Now I hadn't had like a big success runaway viral hit.
Yeah.
None of these videos have got any views by anyone's counts. But I became fixated on like, okay, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna clear everything up. Um, so in terms of, but like making videos sucks. I don't know. That's my short piece. I think video editing is has got the most bonkers ratio of effort in to output.
Yeah, your exact quote is, let's see. Recently I've started, this is from the And Yet More Mistakes I Make, which we'll put into the show notes. Recently I've started making videos. Years ago, Alan kindly described me as a multimedia renaissance man, which I stand by. And let me tell you this, video editing is easily the worst of the multimedia. From my perspective, the ratio of effort in to value out is bonkers. Video production requires a gargantuan investment of effort just to create something that looks passable. It can take hours to capture the raw footage, then multiples of that to edit it together, and all the while you need to balance the visual imagery. You can edit that. To
Yeah.
balance the visual imagery with whatever message or story you're trying to convey. Then you have to let your beast of a computer render the goddamn thing, which stops you making anything else for hours, and then upload it online, only to have YouTube strike your creation down because of some copyright algorithm. And I think that's, broadly speaking, my experience too. And so whenever you said you wanted to talk about this, I was like, oh man, do you remember when we used to do YouTube? Because so, we've been doing this for over a decade now. And there have definitely been some things we have done that have been a little bit poo. Now, by and large, I'm not going to beat myself up over a review of, I don't know, Infinity Blade or Alan Wake or something, right? Because the whole point is that every time we do something new, we get a little bit better. And if we look back on writing from 10 years ago and thought it was just as good, I would feel like we hadn't really progressed. So
Yeah.
that's okay. And I think we covered that a little bit in the last episode. But with the video, I think that the video we have done is actually some of the worst content we have ever produced for split
Yeah.
screen. By far the sloppiest. So my father-in-law, I had talked to him about some of the video stuff we'd done before, and I showed him my Child of Eden review, because I was like, and he thought it was brilliant. Now, I need to preface this by saying Mick has absolutely no experience in video production whatsoever, but he thought it was really good, and I was listening to it, and I couldn't hear myself because the audio mixing was terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely dreadful. And I look back at those videos we did, and there was this series of the 3 videos I did, which I, for some reason, decided to call Retrocity, even though it's an unpronounceable name. That's probably some kind of play on atrocity. And I think that the mistake that I made, and I don't know if you found this mistake, is I basically tried to read an article I've written for Split Screen.
Yeah. And I've still, and yeah, you try.
You write your script, but it's not actually a video script. What you've done is you've written a split screen article and you read it out. And what I find is that the stuff that I write that translates okay on the page and I think has a good rhythm to it does not work well in video. And I would trip up over my own words, and it was too complicated and too clever for its own good. And it just wasn't right. And even though we've done more videos since then, I don't feel like I necessarily improved at the craft in the way we did with the words, and also with the podcast to a lesser extent, because we don't do the podcast every week, and if we did that every week, I'm sure it would be super smooth, and we'd have $20 million Joe Rogan Spotify deals up the wazoo. But we're not here. We're in episode 25 after 10 years, 2.5 a year. So whenever you talked about how you've been doing more videos, and I've been watching some of your shmup-appreciation videos, and you've got some quite nice looking overlay graphics and stuff, but I was wondering how you felt about how your crafts develop over time, and whether you think you're over that hump or not really, and you don't care. That was my main curiosity.
So there was a part of me just wanted to make something. I was getting to a point where I was like, I need to make something. And like I said, decided that videos, let's try that. I absolutely love setting up software. I love going into the options of anything. Games, I did it today actually for the 2000 odd old recording software. I found the manual online, and I'm going to sit and I'm going to read it later. I love configuring things, and you love
configuring your recording software, because this is the 4th take of this podcast because your computer crashed 3 times and you moved to another computer.
That's because of the Windows Vista. We've covered that. We're good.
Yeah. I need to get that Vista conversation back.
Yeah, to make the videos, you need to do a lot of setup, and so I did that, and I got OBS set up, which is like a open source broadcast streaming thing.
Yep.
Alan, we've got Twitch profiles all ready to go, all these like screens, because I just like to, I just wanted to make a bunch of stuff. Now I have no intention of streaming, so there was a part of it was just something that I could focus on, and I could make something and get it set up. I absolutely agree with you in terms of the videos that we made were easily the worst things of split screen, and they existed kind of separate to the site, right? So we had articles or we have posts on the website with some of those videos linked in, but we didn't have all the videos. Some of them, there were some odd ones that just kind of live out on the YouTube page that aren't actually on split-screen.it.
Okay.
And while we've always maintained the website looks good, we've maintained it, so I did a big spring clean last year where I went through and, using some of the stuff we've got in the back end, fixed loads of broken links. Just because over 10 years you accrue a load of broken URLs.
And we've changed the theme a couple of times, and there's different, it's WordPress, so it's a million different plugins, and they all change the short URLs. So
there was a bunch.
There's always a bit of gardening to do with a WordPress site. Yeah.
Yep, and that's exactly it, right? It was spring cleaning, bit of gardening, bit of weeding. There was a load of short codes in some videos for how we used to embed YouTube video. In some of the articles on how we used to embed YouTube videos. Fixed those.
Yep. Jobs
are good. I then kind of turned my attention over this past Christmas, to the YouTube page, because I went to it and went, oh, we've got about, I don't know how many videos we had at the time. Right now, we've got 140 videos.
What? Surely
Yes.
100 of those are Blade Runner.
Well, if we go, I can tell you if I go onto the playlists page. So of 140 videos, let's see. So we've got our reviews. We have 11 reviews. We have 8 features.
What's a
There's
review? What does that mean?
the reviews. Wait, sorry, did you say what are the reviews?
Yeah, what is a review? Is that like a copyright strike?
No, no, no. Sorry, these are the names of our playlists. Right, so these are the categories of videos that we've put up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so in terms of the 140 videos that we've made, break down into the following categories, and this is just how I've put them into playlists. We've got reviews, of which there are 11, which have like the Child of Eden review you've mentioned. The first one was the Devil's Tuning Fork.
Oh
Um,
boy, was a Sam and Max?
no, it's an independent game where you strike a bell and the
Oh.
sound waves go out and illuminate the surroundings.
What's the Sam and Max one? The
That
Devil's
is
what?
the Devil's Playhouse. That's the third season.
That's not that far off.
No, no, you're really, yeah, no, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. You're spot on.
yeah, there's a lot of Blade Runners. There's a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, and then there's a load of like, so there's what 11 reviews, 8 features, 25 podcasts. There's the 3 Retrocities, and then there's a bunch of Let's Plays, which is mainly the stuff that I've done. So way back when I did
Oh
Blade Runner,
yeah.
which is 26 videos, but then there's like 27 Sea of Thieves clips videos. Some of them are long, some of them are short. I'm working through Alone in the Dark right now. We'll come back to that right at the end. I went
Again?
through. Yep.
You need help. Are you playing it again?
Yeah, yeah. You can watch me play it. We're going through. I played through. I've played through a Fallout, the original Fallout. I did 9 videos. Did not enjoy it. And then there's a bunch of miscellaneous things. 18 videos, which have like that Shum Appreciation or the night I played with who did I play with Rick and some Stephen on Warzone and something. Now I'm just making
Oh
videos and
yeah.
just putting them out there.
Yeah.
Um, now where were we in this? I've lost track of where we are.
I
Um,
don't know. Tell me videos. Do you enjoy the videos that
do
you're
I enjoy?
making and
Oh,
putting
that's
out there?
it.
Do you enjoy? Do
So,
you actually enjoy doing it? Because if you,
s-
because we're going to talk about, we're probably going to talk. Maybe we shouldn't talk about analytics. It's pretty fucking boring even for us. But do you enjoy what you're doing? Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, and if you're putting things out there to find an audience, maybe do something else. Maybe just play the games. Maybe
so,
stream them on Twitch instead.
so that's the thing, right? And that's why I went and wrote this article. I'm like, oh God, I'm becoming like fixated on all the stuff
Metrics
around
and
actually playing the game.
yeah, if I
So,
tag all these
so,
articles, maybe
so
if we build it, they will come.
So like I say, really into configuration. So I went and researched like how do you do good YouTubes, and I found all these subreddits, and there's this own subculture in YouTube about how to grow your YouTube audience. Like loads of videos which have got titles like how to grow from 0 views, 0 subscribers, how to get 1,000, your first 100 subscribers, how to get 1,000 subscribers, how to, best ways to game the YouTube algorithm, or, claiming that they can figure out how the algorithm works. I went through all 140 videos, and one of the things I wanted to do was to change the thumbnails, right? So I like making, I like
Yep.
designing stuff. I was using Adobe Sparks on my phone, so I could do it on the couch while I was sat beside Lisa, so that was nice. So I wasn't like locked away. And it's
Yeah.
a nice little, so there's 140 videos. I made a new thumbnail for every single one. Then I decided I wanted to put the titles on it, so I made a new thumbnail for all 140 again. Then I came up with a different design and I did it again. Then I came
Did
up
you
with,
do the current design's good?
so the current design is the 5th iteration. Now there are 140 of them. So I've got a folder of
You've got a
about
thousand
700,
thumbs?
about 700 thumbnails that I've gone in and made each one and then updated. So this is where I was at, right? So again, I think I said this on the last podcast. Whenever I go deep and you see a bunch of stuff happening on split screen, the question to ask is, Craig, how's work going? And the answer was it was going pretty slow. So I felt the need that I need to accomplish something in the evenings because I wasn't feeling like I was accomplishing much during the day. And so it's just like, okay, now do I enjoy making videos? For a lot of them, most of those Sea of Thieves ones, I'm gonna take down. I think there's a couple actually which were good, and I want to the I was like becoming really fixated on like, okay, maybe I could find something. I tell you what, let me talk about Alone in the Dark, right? Because the Alone in the Dark playthrough charts my experience now. It's
That's your
become,
that's your safe place, Alone in the Dark. So it's appropriate that you keep coming back to it.
yeah. So Alone in the Dark is my favorite worst game of all time. It was the first article I wrote for Split Screen. It was the first thing I wrote,
And here we are, 10 years
and here
later,
we are,
still mining it for all it's
still
worth.
still banging the drum. So the first episode is a normal Let's Play, right? I start from episode one. I'm like, hey, this is going to be a fun bad game where you have to press a button to blink, and I've got a wee webcam in the corner. Then you go to the next episode, and I think the webcam I figured out how to make it in the shape of like an eye. So, it's a very subtle eye. And I think I also put like the split screen kind of colors around it. I figured out how
Hmm.
to do that as an overlay. But the
Yeah.
second one's just an episode again, normal Let's Play, and they were taking about an hour to play, and there was no editing because you just, you trim top and tail, trim the top and the bottom, and that's it. I'd set up OBS, configured it so that when I talk, it ducks the audio of the game. So I'm not
Hmm.
having to do any post-production on it. So brilliant, really enjoying it, enjoying playing the game. I'm making something and it's not labor intensive, and I'm making video and it's not labor intensive. So everything's a winner. Come the third episode, I start the game, and you can see it on the video. I go, oh, this bridge that's the game set in Central Park. This bridge looks like the ending of Cloverfield, which is one of my favorite movies. And I say, oh, maybe I'll edit in a clip from Cloverfield and we'll see if it matches. And it is, it's the exact same bridge. It's got a name. So I thought, okay, well, I keep playing it. And then they'll get to a certain
What's
sequence in
the
the
what?
game.
What's the name of the bridge? Julian,
I don't know, Alan. You're putting me
Mister
on the
Mister
spot.
Mister Bridge.
Mr. Bridge, Johnny Goodbridge.
That's what the song's about.
Later on, I come at a different sequence and I'm like, oh, and I'm saying this out loud because it's that kind of stream of conscious let's playing thing.
You're let's playing this podcast right
Yeah.
now.
I say, oh, this is kind of like Batman Arkham Asylum. This is like the Scarecrow. It feels like the Scarecrow sequence. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting because like that's about the same year when those games came out or similar time. And I say it like this offhand comment, like, oh, maybe I should edit in all of the references. So while I'm playing it, I'm thinking I should make more references and then I can edit them in.
Mm,
So I finished the playthrough and it's about an hour long. I then spent about 4 fucking hours finding all of these references and editing them in and really like working on this video a lot, like in the evenings after work and stuff. And I
so just to
finish it.
recap this, you had a perfect end to end,
Yes.
no, just top and tail, no further work required sequence. Which starts off looking at this, you get 2.5 minutes, then a 40-minute video, 45, bish bosh, get it done, and then uh, one with the subtitle "Painful Editing," which is
Yes.
1 hour long, and presumably has more pop cultural references than a Family Guy box set.
Yeah. So that starts happening, right? So the third one, oh, I've got this USP. But at that time, reading all of these YouTube views, it's like you need to find your niche. One of the bits of advice they tell you if you're starting a gaming channel in 2019 or 2020 is you should not be trying to cover loads of games. You need to pick one game and you need to cover it extensively. And that is your thing. You are the alone in the dark guy. And that's like completely,
Eldon, are you saying like you're the alone in the dark guy? That's the game, or that's how you're spending your evenings
that,
because of the
well,
way you've decided to cut these videos together?
that's what it was becoming, but like that's what all the advice says. Like this is a good thing. And it also says like if you're doing a gaming channel and you're doing Let's Plays, I'm sorry, but that is an oversaturated market. So unless you happen to strike, lightning strikes and you take off, you're not going to do well. So you need to have a unique selling point. So I
Do
went,
you watch Let's Plays? Do you watch them? Because I
there's
I
what
basically I basically watch speed runs. So I exclusively watch speed runs. And usually the game's done quick ones, and occasionally I will watch the no commentary play all the way through. So
yeah,
it's not perfect play, but it's good enough.
yes,
I don't know, one credit clear plays. If I want to catch up on an old game that I feel nostalgic about, but I can't be bothered firing up the Raspberry Pi. But I don't watch Let's Plays. So do you watch a lot of Let's Plays?
no. There's one person I'm subscribed to who is the Metal Gear Solid guy. His name's George. Let me find the actual name of this guy.
George
Uh,
Solid.
it's almost like that, actually. Uh,
So it's pronounced Solid. He's Belgian.
George Salonik.
Right.
Salonikh. George Salonik. And what this guy does is he plays through the Metal Gear Solid franchise over and over and over again. I believe he's completed something like 30 times. That's like Metal Gear 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, 5, The Phantom Pain or Ground Zeroes, and then he just starts again. And it's just every day he plays this and streams it. So I watch that every now and then because I really like those games. So I'm like, I'll become the Alone in the Dark. I wasn't going to like fully come that, but I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. Like I've made these edits in, so maybe that can be my niche. Is I just do a let's play, but I then have this like editing in of like references that make it a bit more interesting. But it took too long. Like I said, it's called painful editing. It took like 3 or 4 hours to edit. So I'm like, oh, well, that's fine. I can solve that problem in episode 4. So episode 4, I do the same thing. I play it, I make a load of references, and I got the editing down to an hour. And I'm like, awesome. Job's a winner. Episode 5, I have, and you can see it in the video, it's 45 minutes long. I have zero goddamn energy. I was not enjoying playing the game. I was not enjoying making a video, and yet I did. And so there's no editing after it, because I think that might be, what's the date on that?
4 months ago.
I know, yes, this has got the actual date. Okay, so January 3rd. So this is just after I've written then that article about not like about killing my hobbies. But that's fine. Episode 6. I recorded episode 6 and then it fucking crashed on me. And so I
Oh
played through
no.
all of the episode and none of the footage survived. So I had to play through it again and I went, well, I'm not going to like pretend like it never happened. Oh, I know what I'll do. The first time I played through it as well, it took about 45 minutes. I went, I tell you what, I'll go find whoever the speedrunning champion is for this game, who's a person called Spring Stingray is their username. And I found a video of them playing it. And I reached out to them and said, hey, can I use your video? I'm going to do this thing where I'm going to now try and speed run this episode because I know what to do. I know all the puzzles, I know all the stuff. And if you watch that one, you can see there's a camera in camera of him playing it in the corner and then me trying to beat it. So I'm like, well, that's like a little unique thing that happened there. And it's 18 minutes, it's cheap and cheerful. Episode 7, there's only 8 episodes in the game. Episode
Okay.
7, I died multiple times at the start. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Forget this, like, let's play, you see everything. I'm going to edit this down. So it starts off with like 4. I was trying to climb a rope in the game and it took 4 attempts. So you see this 4 corners now. Sorry, there's the screen splits into
It's
4.
all gone a bit Super Meat Boy there.
Yeah. And it's like you see that all the different attempts at the same time. And then when I get to any section, if it took multiple times, the video breaks out into each different section. So basically, I've like each episode's become like its own little weird thing now. Now, what I know I'm doing on the next one was I recorded it and it was really long. So I'm going to edit it down. But this is my current idea, is that I'm going to do a director's commentary over my Let's Play, talking about how certain sections were boring and try and fast forward it all, like pretending like it's a. So when you ask me the question, Alan, of like, am I enjoying making videos? I don't know because right now I'm in too deep and I can't really tell because like I'm having these ideas which are like, that's interesting. I want to make it, which like we talked about last episode. But there's like a time sink that's associated with video that is just god awful. And so I've almost finished the
Well,
game. I
well,
don't
it's
know. So I don't.
interesting
That's
because
where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I don't know what's happening anymore.
I'm just looking at these videos and it's like, 6 views, 9 views, 15 views.
Exactly.
Holy shit. And I am looking at that Screenies one, which is a 15-minute video for 315 views. So you probably got 100 views for every hour I spent editing that thing. And I think the total amount of time was like a preposterous, it was probably about 10 to 20 hours of effort. I know that the Retrocity episodes took an extremely long length of time. The Streets of Rage episode, which has some good jokes in it, but you won't be able to hear them, has like on-location footage that Robbie and I shot and stuff. And the European Bus Simulator thing was easily one of the hardest things I've ever done. It has crazy audio footage sync. It has me trying to record something while balancing a set of like a keyboard and a steering wheel on
Hmm.
my legs, which I borrowed from an Oxford College IT department because somebody
Yep.
had the wheel. That was an insane amount of effort for a throwaway joke, and that at 3,000 views is one of the most is somehow one of the most popular things that we've done, as well as the Walking Dead one.
Yeah. So,
That what?
so this brings us
Where's the
nicely to
where's
the
the
point.
where's the logic here?
This brings us
Okay.
nicely to the point of the analytics, right? Because so video editing, loads of effort capturing it. And when I say not much you get out of it, you're then subject to, because it's on YouTube. And again, one of the useful things I learned was to think about YouTube really as, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, is thinking about it as Google for videos. You really need to,
Yeah, I
if
didn't know
you,
why I didn't think about that. Google owns YouTube.
I know, if you want your videos to get views within the YouTube world, right? So you're not advertising it on external
Hmm.
platforms. Within YouTube, if you want it to work, you need to you need to do the old SEO and search engine optimize the videos so that they are likely to get discovered. If you look at our most successful videos, none of they are not videos that we are especially our best videos, but they are the videos that are the most searchable. Now we've been making videos since 2011. Now the top video, like you say, I think is
Walking
uh,
Dead.
Walking Dead,
Let's
right?
let's play the Walking Dead.
Yep.
There's a Progress Quest one. There's a European Bus Simulator one, and there's a
So
Child of Eden review. But those top three are all several thousand views, and they're all 7 years old.
yep. So the Walking Dead one, when it's like a how long is it? It's like a 6 minute clip or something of one bit of episode one when I was down visiting you, um, somewhere in Oxford probably.
I don't even
We
remember watching this one. Yeah, I
we, re-
remember recording it.
we recorded a wee bit, and I call you over like, "Hey, Alan, we're doing a Let's Play," and I show you the very beginning of episode one. Now, at the time, we were probably one of the early people because the game had just come out who'd put up some content. Now right now the video's called Just a Small Nibble. That's not what it was called at the time. It was called like something else, but it had Walking Dead in the name, so it got searched for at the time. The Progress Quest video is one of my weird fucking dalliances where I load up Progress Quest, which is a joke game about it's an RPG, but it's just the user interface and it just fills up bars and you collect loot and then it goes off and so it plays itself. You literally do nothing in the game. And so I start talking about it, but then I take my portable microphone and I literally went out for a walk in London, or when I was in New Malden. I went for a walk, I think to a field, or I sat outside the house and I talk about something. I don't know what. I'm too scared to listen to it because I think it will be cringy and embarrassing. So why is it successful? At one point, we started getting all these comments, and I was like, what's going on? Why has this video become famous? And it's because during one of Todd Howard's um, talks about a Skyrim, I think, or some kind of, he was on some conference, and Todd Howard, Bethesda's head
The CEO or something.
CEO,
Yeah.
mentioned Progress Quest, and we were in our video, people searched out what is Progress Quest, and this thing came up because I asked someone in the comments like, "Where have you come from?" And they're like, or I saw comments saying like Todd Howard, and I'm like, "Fucking Todd Howard's talking about our video." No, he's not. He was just talking about Progress Quest. You've then got so that's why that one's high up there, right? Then there's your bus simulator, which you did as part of like review a bad game or something.
Yeah, it was like a review jam. That's why it's
Yeah.
popular.
So
Yeah.
that one got a big spike at the time, but then it's a review, and the reviews. I mean, you look at our analytics, always do well. They get a trickle of views all the time. So I did a mini Metro review last year at the end of last year, which did the same thing that you talked about, where
Mhm.
it's an article that I wrote a few months before, which I just tried to read out. It sounds very stilted. I showed my wife and she said, "You don't talk like that." And I'm like, "Yes, but I write like that." And that gets the views because it's called Mini Metro Review, and that is the thing that people search for. Also, it just come out on the Switch, and I had a little bit of Switch content in it and described it that way. The
Oh, I
next game,
remember
though,
the Halloween one. Are you dare enter the house? I
yeah,
remember that one.
I'm not going to go through every single video, but the fourth most popular video
There's
that we've done
150 of them.
is episode 14 of the Blade Runner game, and it's because I had the word. I think this is the original title.
Nudity.
There's
Nudity.
nudity in this game. Now, if you click, well, we've got the analytics open in
Six
the background,
six
right?
nine nine videos.
Yeah, 699 views.
I dare not click it while it's
So,
still on 6.9.
so it's a video that's 9 minutes long and it's had 16 hours watch time. Now, these aren't huge views by anyone's means, but when you look at the, or is it traffic source, most of the views come from YouTube. Now, now let me read you the most. Yep, and this is since lifetime. People search for Blade Runner game, cool. Video game nudity, indie game nudity, nudity games, games with nudity, nudity in video games, oops nudity, nudity game, let's play with nudity, nude game, PC nudity. Basically, people are trying to have a wank. And
14-year-olds are trying to have a wank because they don't know the better words to search for.
and Alan,
Talk about SEO.
we're raking in the views, baby. We're making money. Well, we're not making any money.
$6.99 dinner for three.
And so, if you actually look at what is our most quote successful videos, it's the stuff which people can search for. So, as part of the whole winter cleanup, I changed all the thumbnails. I went through and I changed all the titles. So I put like the video game name in the title. We didn't always do that, and I tried to keep the stuff we had before and preserve it because I didn't want to totally change things. But I changed the titles, I changed the thumbnails, changed all the tags because we didn't really do any proper tagging, and that does make a difference. We would put a video up and would write the tag such as Taggy Tag Tag or Taggy McTagface was another one. Or
No, we didn't.
this
I wouldn't have put that.
yeah, it's probably been me. This is a video, but I went through all 140 videos, put new tags in, and then I put in new descriptions. So I kept again where there was a description before, I kept that, but I then would include. Normally, I would just grab like a bit from Wikipedia which described the game, because within that, then there's this balance between, okay, so say for Mini Metro, I want to put Mini Metro review in the title because that's what people are looking for. I want Mini Metro review to be near the top of the description, but I also am going to put the name of the developer, and I'll put what consoles it's on or platforms it's on, and I'll put maybe something like it's a train game as well, right? Because there's people who are just into train games. And so that video is done.
Train game with nudity. Train games indie nudity. Nudity on train.
ScotRail nudity. Yeah, people are just after.
You wouldn't have to search very long for that.
So that in the art of the YouTube analytics, that's called reach. So I've done the reachy thing. I've reached all the videos. I'm trying not to make a reach around joke.
Too late.
Too late. I've done that on all those videos.
Reach around nudity.
And that's what gets, there's like a trickle of views come in, but it's not okay. So
hold on. So you spent all this time making 800 plus thumbnails through 5 different videos. You've tagged it all. You've done descriptions, and now there is, and I quote, a trickle.
Yes.
Of views.
Absolutely pointless. Like from the perspective of like, are people watching it? Absolutely pointless. Alan, I've put dozens and dozens of hours into this Alone in the Dark Let's Play. You only just discovered about it. You know?
I know.
So like,
well, I'm looking because I'm not on the split screen account. I'm on my own personal account, and I can see that I have watched one of the Sea of Thieves ones. But what I've done is I've started watching it and I've gone, holy shit, this is 19 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then I have left. But
So
I've watched your SMUP ones, so I'm at least 20% of the views of those.
Yeah. So what I found is I kind of did all that because again, I just wanted to set something up. So it's all configured and it's all set up and it's all fine. Actually, if you look at the Alone in the Dark thing, I've kind of got that out of my system. Like just recording something, I've got that out of my system now. If I'm going to make a video, the next things I'll finish the Alone in the Dark just because I want to finish that as a series. But that will happen whenever it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a period as well where I was releasing things once a week. I did that for about 2-3 months. And that increased our audience from a whopping, I think it was at 34. We are now rocking
43.
to 43.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, and a lot of those subscribers came in that period where I was uploading. So YouTube's algorithm seems to the common perception is it reward. So
Rewards
this is
people who
part.
publish videos all the time.
Yes.
Yep.
So
And this is so one of the things I wanted to talk in relation to this is the great YouTube burnout of 2019, when a
yeah,
lot of professional YouTubers started talking about how burnt out they were. And one of them is this guy I follow, Patrick H. Willems, who's a really good video critic. And if you want your video quality to be humbled forever, my God, he's easily one of the best. He did a video about Kiki's delivery service and burnout, and it's all about that need to feed the algorithm and actually to feed Patreon as well. And I think we felt that through some of the 5 out of 10 stuff, that whenever you're having to do something semi-professionally, whenever you start to rely on it for an income or an audience, that could be your Twitter followers, it could be all the analytics on your blog or your YouTube subscribers, your Twitch followers. It becomes much less fun very, very quickly.
yeah,
And it's easy to set up. It's easy to set up unrealistic expectations and goals for yourself without really thinking about why we're doing it, which is that's why I asked, so all that work you did, because if you want to do videos and you find them fun, that's good. I've enjoyed the Smup Appreciations. I think what you did to the Lords of Thunder soundtrack was a goddamn disgrace, because that's one of the cheesiest, metaliest games of all time.
I couldn't get it to work, man. The emulator was not playing ball with me.
And I was really looking forward to hearing the Lords of Thunder soundtrack in all its glory. I said, Craig, we got to talk about this. So I'm glad that I can finally publicly lecture you on it a month later. But if you're not doing stuff, it's not fun, and that's the main reason why I stopped going on Twitter all the time. Because it just became very silly. And it's interesting, this idea of the YouTube algorithm rewarding people who publish videos all the time, because the Twitter algorithm seems to reward people who publish controversial views all the time.
Yeah,
by increasing the follower trickle, and that makes you think, I'm doing something right. I'm going to do more of this. I'm going to spend all my time in this. But here, so what's our fourth top rated video? Child of Eden. Right, that was Connect. You are the controller. YouTube, the sausage factory. You are the sausage meat. You are the meat to feed the grinder, and that's all I got.
well, yeah, and I'd say, where a lot of those people have burnout, I think having gone through this little journey of like becoming obsessed with trying to figure out, or fixated, not obsessed, become fixated on doing the good YouTube. I think most of the things that are either recommended from the community of people who are trying to grow their YouTube audience, or because it's all shrouded in mystery. The algorithm. This is the algorithm that determines whether you see a video or not.
Because if you knew what the algorithm was, people could game it. Because this is what happens now. Is that there's loads of. Have you ever read the sinister? I think it's the New York Times did an expose on the Russian companies who make these really creepy Peppa Pig videos.
Yes, I remember that.
And that's why anything that you can exploit for marketing purposes, whether it's Google AdSense or the YouTube algorithms or stuff, people will do that. There are farms in countries around the world where they constantly play Android games and load. They've got walls and walls of Android phones where they poke ads all day for money. Any system designed by humans will be exploited by humans.
And on some of the YouTube subreddits I was going on, there's plenty of you follow me and I'll follow you. Watch my first video and it's not just like scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, or young creatives supporting each other. It's trying to do it mindful of the algorithm, which can tell if you're just getting a load of farmed clicks or views. So it's like, watch my first video to the end, then click like on it, then click subscribe in the point of the video where I say click subscribe. So you're trying to masquerade it as a natural performance. I think so much of what is advised in those subreddits and what the algorithm kind of suggests, though, I look at it and for me it is they are recommending a practice that is so creatively devoid of any bankrupt. Yeah, thank you. So creatively bankrupt. The idea that you should just focus on making one thing. Well, I think you should
You should be
explore
the
and make
guy that
loads of
plays Metal
things.
Gear Solid for the rest of your life. Like, I like Metal
Yeah,
Gear Solid, and three's on the pile of shame.
yeah,
But I don't think I should be in some kind of purgatory state where that's all that I play.
yeah.
That's
Now,
taking that too far.
now, if you look down like the kind of, the thumbnails, tags, titles, description thing, we all know about clickbait titles where, oh, what's this? I clicked on one the other day because it was about, it said like, oh, it was something like latest controversy in the world's fastest Rubik's Cube solve. And I'm like, oh, okay, like what's that? You know.
That certainly tickles your
So
interest.
so it got me. So misleading title. Click into it. It's a 9 minute video. This person talking about. It's a minute in, and then they're like, okay, so we're going to look at this. But first, I want to talk to you about stamps.com or some. Then it went straight into this product placement shit, and I'm like, God damn it, they've done it again. Like,
Sponsored by Squarespace.
and it's
Squarespace is the all-in-one solution to build your website. Start your website today with Squarespace.
yeah, and it's like I actually don't care about the Rubik's cube, but like at least tell me what the fuck it was at the first time. Anyway, so you get your titles misleading, you get your thumbnails that get edited. This is a classic of like, you're trying to just find something and you're like, oh, that looks like the right thumbnail. You click on it and then it suddenly jumps to something completely different from the video. The idea that you should be releasing things on a schedule as well, we've talked about this before. I don't think that's necessarily helpful, and it's not going to have a long life to it, and then you will hit burnout. But that encourages you to, rather than make one video, that encourages you to cut it up into loads of different parts. Now, I did that for the Blade Runner piece because at the time I could only record for 10 minutes, before space would run out or something like that. I'm wanting to make a big video about Braid. Like, I've been thinking about Braid a lot, and I want to make like a big deep dive on it. And at the time when I was going through this YouTube thing, I was thinking, should I actually be splitting it out into multiple videos? Because then you can optimize each little one, and that's 43 chances at getting someone to click on it. Or should I just do it as one video? Because I know that I actually will quite happily sit and watch like an hour long, 2 hour long video at times. Watch it 20 minutes at a time. But I'll add that to my watch list and I'll chip my way through it. So I think so many of the practices I look at and go, like, actually, these are really unfulfilling. Now, the worst thing, and I'm going to change this, if you actually go onto our channel page, I don't know how you get to it from out of this. Oh, yeah,
I just went through my subscriptions.
there you go. So if you go to our channel, I made a banner, and it's the most cringy goddamn thing I've made in a long time, and I don't think you've seen this.
I have not seen that, and I have. I have several objections.
Read it.
Starting from the
Read it out. Read it out to the audience, Alan.
So it has pictures of a recognizable you and some childlike cherubic me from about 15 years ago. It says Irish and Scottish. Let's plays, reviews, features. Then it has www.splitthescreen.net, established 2010. And then
Now, it's so bad, right? Because
I had a really good one of some arcade machines.
Well, that's it. And now
it's this. Why did you do this?
But Alan, the advice that I was reading was to go into what's our niche though, and I'm like, what is Split Screen's niche? And I'm like, oh, I guess we're Scottish and Irish, but I need to and it's like,
that's not a niche.
I know.
There's millions of people like that who,
I know.
We're not even the only Scottish and Irish people that do podcasts.
I know, and it's okay. But it was like symbolic of just how bad I was, like the direction I was going in.
That's a stain. I'm going to change that back to the.
It's alright. It's alright. I've already
changed it
changed
back to the arcade cabinets.
Although I might use the image of us playing if that works, but it's probably too thin.
Nah, I don't know. That was just. I just happened to have that one. I took that in Japan. That is that was in a proper Tokyo game arcade in. Can't remember, Akihabara, I think it was. Yeah, that's much better than the awful banner.
So I think that's kind of it.
What's
man.
the conclusion? You've been talking. I think at length about YouTube analytics, and in classic YouTube style, many people have dropped off at this point. If only there were a graph.
The audience retention will be low. I'm back to where I started, where I am once again aware. I think for me the challenge of not metricating, not doing metrics for hobbies, I think that's just a challenge that I'm always struggling with. And there's times where it's not like an addiction here, right? But there's times where I kind of get it under control. There's times where I don't think about it. And then there's times like this, like the past few months on YouTube, where I went into it. And it's kind of, I can look back at it now and think I'm out the other end and go, that was an interesting diversion. I
What
like
a
the thumb,
ride.
I like the thumbnails. I think they look nice. But apart from that, what a fucking waste of time. What a waste of time.
And this marks the very last episode of the Split Screen Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening for the past decade. What a waste of time. There you go. Well, that's the title for this episode. A perfect waste of time.
Nice, nice.
I like that we've gone from like having we used to have these really planned out and detailed. Now we just riff for an hour about how shit everything is. Wrap it in a title. That'll do.
Cool.
Look, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I gave up on YouTube a long time ago, and one of the things that I've learned from doing, so I've been doing a lot of corporate videos lately. I've been doing screencasting, mainly trying to onboard people with Microsoft Teams because there's been this huge need for video conferencing and collaborative working software. So I've been doing screencasts. We have done recordings of virtual town hall events and updates from our executive. And there seems to be no rhyme or reason to a lot of the engagement figures, even on a Microsoft Stream site, which is essentially a small corporate YouTube. And sometimes we get a lot of engagement, so we get a lot of likes and comments. Sometimes we get a lot of views. It really varies depending on the video. And one of the things is, whenever you work in internal communications, the first thing they tell you when you go on the course and they give you the handbook, essentially, is that you need to demonstrate your value, and the way you do that through analytics.
Yeah.
And I think with a lot of communication stuff, especially when you're doing corporate communications within an organization, there's a real danger in over metrifying things. I can go into any of our digital town hall events and I can tell you every single person that attended. I can see when they dropped out. I can get into creepy levels of detail, but I don't really want to know, because ultimately I can go and ask people what they think of things. I can get their opinions, and I think it's the same thing with this. You could spend all day gaming the algorithm and you could get thousands of subscribers, but for what gain? Because what we've always cared about is meaningful interactions with a handful of people. So
yeah.
the metrifying is setting us up for failure, isn't it?
Yep, and I also know from my own behavior, there are plenty of videos that I watch for 2 seconds and then I stop because I go, I'll save that for later. But you could look at the other side of that graph and think, no one liked that video. Because you don't see necessarily like an accurate. It's not all these measures. There isn't actually one that really says, did people like it? I've clicked thumbs up on a handful of videos over what are probably hundreds of thousands of videos that I've watched over 10 years. I have never clicked the the bell button.
Oh no! And
that people are constantly
thanks.
shelling out for. Now that's one of the things that I like for all the YouTube stuff. I fucking hate the shilling that goes on for and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for notifications. It's like, we all know how this works. Like, we all know how this works. You don't need to say it. And again, it's advised like you have it in the first minute of your video. And again, that's where you get this disrupted flow. So creatively, explain what the video's about. Sure, that can be good sometimes, but you know what? Like the point I was trying to do with the Progress Quest one, sometimes it's nice to watch something and it ends somewhere completely different. I love doing that when I record music, but I know that there's a risk with that, which is you get folk who then go, well, what the hell is this then?
You mean like that Sudoku video that's going viral? I shared with you the other day. It starts off, you think this is just going to be a guy solving a Sudoku, and then 30 minutes later, you somehow watch 30 minutes of a guy solving a Sudoku, and you've gone through the entire range of human emotions.
Yeah, and I responded to you saying like that is actually a genuine Let's Play. It isn't this performed bullshit thing. Now it's all set up and recorded, right? He went in to record a Let's Play of a Sudoku. But you see a genuine reaction of someone who goes, who keeps flipping between, well, this can't be possible, to, hold on, what about this, to, oh wow, actually this is something really good here. So yeah, it's got all of the Maybe we should just do Sudoku. Maybe that's the end. We should just pivot and become a Sudoku channel, and then we'll get all the
I
views.
think that niche has been taken by the Sudoku video I just shared for you.
Yeah.
I think we don't need a niche. Like one of the big articles in my big article backlog is about the digital Con Marie I did, where I like called my Facebook friends by a third, deleted all the social media apps off my phone, and I don't have YouTube on my phone. I've got it on my iPad, but I have no interest in anything that sends me notifications. Whether it's a podcast or a news feed or Reddit or anything like that, I want to consume media in my own time. And the reason for that is because I'll just get addicted to it. The reason I don't have Instagram on my phone because I would just idly flick through that, and I'd rather read Instapaper instead.
Yeah.
So it's the whole YouTube subscription, one more video autoplay stuff is total anathema to my interests. And even I've been annoyed watching The Witcher on Netflix when it jumped to the next episode before I could hear the song at the end of some of the credits. So the whole, like, I think it gets back to the way Google operates as a company. These things are set up to fail everybody except their advertisers. They're not there for the creators. They're not necessarily there for the viewers as well, because providing a free platform is all well and good, but it's not actually there to get interesting content. It's to keep me there for as long as possible, and those aren't necessarily the same thing, because an interesting piece of content to me might be something that inspires me to go and write something and go and play something. So it's yeah, basically the world's fucked. So it's same as last time. Then
Cool.
don't forget to like and subscribe,
Yeah.
and leave a review on iTunes and cheat the algorithm.
Goddamn right. Create multiple accounts, sign in, and get it done.
Like I think to use the Australian vernacular, you know, if you want to record more videos, go for your life. And I would say that I would say to anybody who wants to get into YouTubing and stuff, do it because it's fun. Don't do it because you
Yeah.
want a career out of it. There's a
That's
lot of
it.
disturbing people who seem to want to just be Twitch streamers and YouTubers for a living. Like that's not a living. It's a
No.
living that you can make money off it right now, but it's not the same thing. That's like the reality TV stars of yesteryear who thought their dream job is going on Big Brother. You should do videos because you've got interesting things to say, and
Yeah.
because you're good at delivering them through video. Most of the people who, like, I think in terms of our skill overlap and stuff, I think video is a very different skill to writing, and a lot of video producers I don't think are very compelling writers, but they do tend to be good podcasters, because a podcast can be a director's cut, I feel like. And I've talked about, you know, John Gruber and Daring Fireball before. He's a very astute writer. His podcast is his director's cut for his blog, and it's good, but it's flabby. You know, he'll riff about baseball for 20 minutes. He'll be like, yeah, get on with it. But when he does videos, and he does a talk show live every year at WWDC, which is the big Apple developer conference, where he tends to get like Apple execs on, and it is definitely not his finest work. It's interesting because you're getting to hear from Apple executives, but it's very sloppy compared to a lot of his other content, because he's
Right.
naturally a blogger, and I think it took me a lot of video grinding to realize that I am fine at doing corporate video, and the editing is a useful skill. But I feel like I'd rather just focus on the writing, because I'm much happier with the end results. Podcasts are okay, and the podcasts for me are like split screen director's cut. I don't know how many people listen. I don't think I can even go into iTunes. I think I just get an error message when I go to look at the stats. I don't care. It's fun. It's a good way to catch up with you. It's a good excuse. You know, it's the
Yeah,
same
these are
thing
all
with
things
cast
I-
iron. If nobody listened, at least you listened.
Yeah,
Craig.
and these are things that I look back. I occasionally will pull out years later and listen to and be like, that was a fun conversation with a friend. Most of the really good videos, the ones I really enjoy, are like the music video that we made when we lost the BitSocket boys.
I think that is, I was going to say, I think that's my favorite
And-
video, is the aftermath of the BitSocket versus, because it was a collaborative effort and it was short and still relatively
And-
amusing. It's
and
one good joke.
and it works as a video. And that's kind of it. Like, where I'm at for future, I'll finish the Alone in the Dark things because I need to finish it. And then there'll be maybe a Braid video, because I think genuinely that's the best way I can talk about it. I don't think I could write about it. I've tried in the past and it doesn't work.
I watched a speed run of Braid just yesterday on my lunch break.
Nice.
It's very good. Because I was like, I remember Braid. And then I was like, yeah, it's good.
And then the video that will set
good.
us on the map will be how to fry an egg through the ages. And we will take off, and then we'll be YouTubers forever, Alan.
I'll just need to finish coding the How to Fry an Egg app, so that people can get the full transmedia experience.
Awesome. If you want the full split screen experience, if you go to split-screen.net, you'll find it all there.
In all its gory glory. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it. I think this is the first decade of split screen was all, carefully crafted features about video games, and the next decade just seems like it's going to be two guys aging disgracefully.
Existential crisis fest.
Yeah, just continually blogging things we should have kept for personal journals or pub conversations. So stick with us, and indeed bear with us.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Do 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 do. Okay.